In a land carved by time, where legends rose and empires fell, lives a story older than memory. This isn't just history, it's the fire that shaped a nation, Italy. From gods to gladiators, artists to rebels, every era added a layer. This is the soul of Italy, forged in myth, blood, and beauty. Let the story begin. The morning light had returned to Rome. But the sun seemed hesitant to shine. Faint golden glow spilled across the ancient hills, as if the earth itself was trying to conceal a secret. And then an old narrator's voice breaks the silence slow, trembling, heavy with centuries. This story began with a murder, a wolf, 2 infants. In a land that dreamed long before, the world knew its name, Italy, Romulus and Remus. Twin brothers, abandoned by fate, raised by a beast, nurtured by myth. But when man desires to become God, the first blood is always from his own kin. Romulus killed his brother, and on the soil soaked with fratricide, he built the first stone of a city that would rule the world, Rome. Now we are in the 3rd century BC. High in the Alps, a commander leads an army with war elephants through snow, ice, and death. Hannibal. Roman soldiers trembled, but Rome did not bend, because Rome was not just a city, it was a fever, and until that fever burned out, it would not fall. Time turned. Rome conquered the world, Spain, Greece, Egypt. Wherever the sun set, Roman banners rose. Chariots roared down the marble roads. The Senate whispered conspiracies behind gold pillars. In the Colosseum, lions feasted while crowds screamed. Rome was a machine of law, discipline, terror, and glory. But empires like men grow old, and one day, Rome cracked. First from within. Corruption, greed, failed emperors. Then from without, barbarian invasions, Goths, Vandals, Huns, and the eternal city that once glowed with the fire of gods was buried in ashes and silence. The lights went out in Europe. The Dark Ages began. Books were burned. Philosophers vanished. And the only law that ruled was fear. But in a quiet Florentine workshop, a young sculptor stared at a block of stone. He whispered to himself, "What if I could make marble breathe?" Michelangelo carved David from cold rock. Leonardo da Vinci painted angels who seemed to sigh. Galileo looked to the stars and found not God but gravity. This was Renaissance, the rebirth of dreams. But beneath the paint and light, there was poison. Behind the golden doors of the Vatican, a young priest was smiling, but his smile reeked of death. Cesare Borgia, Pope's son, power-hungry, beautiful, brilliant, deadly. Under his orders, rivals vanished. Kingdoms crumbled. Italy was not a country, it was a chessboard. Venice, Florence, Naples, Milan, each its own kingdom, its own crown, its own betrayal. And everyone wanted control. But in the chaos, a voice rose. One man stood and shouted, "We are not pieces, we are one." Giuseppe, Mazzini, Count Cavour, Giuseppe Garibaldi, rebels, patriots, dreamers. They sparked a fire called Risorgimento, the rebirth of a nation. Blood was spilled. Battles raged. Flags were stitched with tears. And in 1861, Italy was born. But peace did not last. Soon came a storm. A journalist with rage in his voice. A man who wore pride. Like armor, Benito Mussolini, the father of fascism, promised greatness. He gave war. He allied with Hitler, led Italy into ruin. Rome trembled. Italy burned. And Mussolini was captured, killed, and hanged upside down by his own people. Dictator had fallen, but the scars remained, and then silence. A new Italy slowly emerged. Democracy, but stained with wounds. The mafia whispered in alleys. Corruption danced in marble halls. But despite all the darkness, Italy began to shine again, not through war, but through beauty. Ferrari, Prada, Versace, Fellini, pasta, art, music. The world fell in love with a new Italy. Not the empire of swords, but the empire of soul. Today, when the sun rises over Roman ruins and the shadows stretch over cobblestone streets, Feels like the land itself is whispering, I have seen glory, I have seen blood. But one thing that never died was the dream, and that dream was Italy. Italy, a land of chaos and creation. From fratricide to Florence, from ashes to art, the dream didn't die. It kept breathing through every marble and melody. Empires fall, stories fade, but Italy's soul endures, timeless, passionate, eternal. Subscribe for more tales where history comes alive and legends rise again.